Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in here on my YouTube channel. Thursday afternoon. We're what? Jaquaski Tart days away from the 49ers taking on the Detroit Lions. Kind of getting used to these single digit numbers, but it makes it easier because now I can say Jaquaski Tart rather than what CJ Beathard, but that's not really fitting because he's in Jacksonville now. So the single digits numbers help out in that way, even though I was anti single digit numbers for position players. But now that it's here, I'm over it. I already yelled at the cloud, threw rocks into the ocean. It is what it is. And I don't think it's something that they'll take away, as some people are assuming that it's a 1 year thing, something I've heard. I think they will keep it along. Once again, if you're already here watching and you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Subscribe to the channel, like the video already, because obviously subscribing, liking, commenting, that just only helps the channel grow. And when the channel grows, that's good for all of us here that is tuned in right now. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at what to expect from this Detroit Lions offense when they take on the San Francisco 49ers. It is a new look Detroit Lions offense, but it is familiar faces if you're a 49ers fan like myself. And that's going to start with Jared Goff at center. Let me go ahead and pull up their depth chart and what that looks like. I'm going to have to share my screen here so that you guys could definitely get a view of their offense if you haven't, say, done a Google search yet, to go ahead and look what the opposing team's going to be. So, yeah, I got it here. I'm going to go ahead and full screen that so that it's a little easier to see. And with Detroit Lions, well, that seems, the left tackle seems out of place. That's not going to be Nelson there at left tackle. But it will be Jackson, Ragno, who's a good center, Vitae, Sewell, and TJ Hawkinson at tight end, very good tight end. Tyrell Williams, who didn't play last season, Cephas, a young guy out of Wisconsin, and Khalif Raymond as the other slot receiver, as they have him projected here, with Deandre Swift in the backfield. And like I said, familiar face from the Los Angeles Rams, Jared Goff behind center. Uh, that's going to be in most cases on how they're going to attack this 49ers defense. I don't see very much success out of this Lions offense, mainly so because of Jared Goff. The 49ers have good history against Jared Goff, really good history. And from what we've seen in the limited time, very, very limited time in the preseason with Jared Goff, is his passes have been very intermediate. It's Jimmy Garoppolo-like type of passing tree from Jared Goff on passes behind the line of scrimmage or of 10 yards plus, or excuse me, from passes at the line of scrimmage or under 10 yards. So behind the line of scrimmage, 1 yard, 2 yards, all the way to 9 yards. Jared Goff went 6 of 7 in the preseason, 36 yards, and his average depth of target was 5.5. Just 5.5. So Jimmy Garoppolo type of offense, and he only threw a total of 9 passes. So those other 2 were passes that were 10 yards plus. He went 1 for 2. It was a 19-yard gain. Not in air yards, and it turned 1 yard after catch. But with that, they beat cover 2. What does the 49ers defense not run very much at a very small scale? Here's your 49ers defense here. They don't run cover 2 very much. So seeing that was the one play that they stretched the ball out based on the covers they were seeing in a cover 2, it's something the 49ers don't run on defense very often. So I take that one big play, that one big pass from Jared Goff as a grain of salt. I don't expect them to beat a cover 2 in this game for a pickup of 20 yards, considering the 49ers aren't going to run a cover 2. And if they did, and they figured out a way to be up the sideline before the safety gets there, it will just be one of those pure anomaly type plays to where Jared Goff essentially, and the play call from Anthony Lynn just gets lucky on that, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. It's going to be a very intermediate passing attack. If they do try to go ahead and go deep, they're going to go ahead and probably try a Tyrell Williams, who, once again, this is going to be his first regular season game back since 2019. So there's going to be some adjustment to get to from there. They're guy who you're going to circle the whiteboard on and say, we have to stop this guy. It's going to be number 32, Deandre Swift. Now, I know there's some crazy rumors involving Deandre Swift, and he is coming back from a groin injury. So let's see how healthy he is for this game, essentially. And if he's having any type of lingering issues with that groin while he, tries to tough it out here. One thing to consider with Deandre Swift is he's going to see a sizable amount of touches here. Um, from what their offensive coordinator, running backs coach is saying, is there's no snap count limitations for Deandre Swift, excuse me, not Smith, and he's a 25 plus touch guy per game. Where he does have a success based off last season is going to be here on the left end. Pretend that Hawkinson is here, behind. Well, this is going to be Taylor Decker, not Nelson. I don't know why PFF has that, which is kind of annoying. But pretend Hawkinson is here on the side of, I guess I'll say Nelson since he's listed right here. That's where Swift has a lot of his success, is getting the edge there. Let me go ahead and change the offensive personnel to 12 personnel so it looks a little more similar. Okay. So that's where Swift is going to have an edge. He last season he picked up 8 first downs when running on the left edge, and he also had 4 10-plus yard carries while running on that side of the offensive line. If it was inside the tight end, not so much. Inside the left tackle, not so much. Inside the left guard, not so much. On the other right side, not so much. Maybe a little different this year now that they got Sewell. But his other money spot, we could say, where he runs the ball is going to be on the right side of the center. On the right side, so the middle right, Deandre Swift picked up 8 first downs and 5 carries. So that's one more than the left end. Picked up 5 carries of at least 10 yards on a carry there. So those are going to be the 2 money spots for Deandre Swift on where he's going to find that. They may try something new with Sewell. And maybe they'd like to imagine they could bust it out a little more, going on the right side of Sewell, on the right side of that line. But guess what? The San Francisco 49ers last season were 7th in rushing yards allowed. So that doesn't bode well for a guy just coming off a groin injury. So we'll take a look at the 49ers base defense here. And what I really, really liked, especially if they're going to go ahead and try to run, is Azeez Al-Shaair. From camp through preseason, what I've seen from Azeez Al-Shaair, if they're in base defense, I don't like the chances of Detroit having success with the ball on the ground. I saw Azeez Al-Shaair make plays. So say if Azeez is on this side of the field, he'll make it on the other side on rushing plays. He has been flying sideline to sideline like. I don't want to go there yet. That's, a little premature. It was still off-season, training camp, preseason. I don't want to go there yet. But it was sideline to sideline like by Azeez Al-Shaair. He was crashing down on the line really, really well. Fred Warner, he's obviously all-pro Fred. Last season was the number 1 PFF linebacker in all of football. And Drake Greenlaw could have his occasional misreads, but for the most part, he's an above average inside linebacker. A lot of that is, as well as you're going to get Eric Armstead on the edge. So they could try to emphasize a little bit now with their new rookie 7th overall pick in Sewell and try Armstead a bit. But Sewell is known to have a small length of arms. Armstead is known to have a huge length of arms. I don't think that works out in Detroit's favor that often if they want to run on Armstead's side. Like, um, so and then on the other side, Bosa, if he's if not, it'll maybe be a guy like Samson Ebukon in on that side of the line, and Samson Ebukon is another guy who's got 4 or 5 speed and he could play the run really well. He's not elite at one thing other than I guess speed for an edge rusher, but when it comes to stopping the run, when it comes to pass rushing the quarterback, Samson Ebukon's not elite at one of those things, but he is good. And when it comes to stopping the run, Samson Ebukon is good. And if they do get beat here on the end here for say like a first down on a 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 4, well, that's one of their money plays for the Detroit Lions based on how their offensive line is configured and based on the success that DeAndre Swift, I don't know why I keep going Smith, based on the success that DeAndre Swift had last season. That's one of their money plays to run the ball uh, against opposing defensive lines. So you could kind of take that for a grain of salt rather than wanting to pull your hair out for giving up a first down or say a 10-yard carry on that. And with Swift, it's not only just with the run game. This is why I got to say he's the one guy you have to circle here. And I'll say why it's not Hawkinson. It's Swift because last season Swift also had 46 receptions. And he missed 3 games last season. And he wasn't getting a full workload last season. He's a guy, if he got a full workload, don't miss any games, he could be a 75 reception type of guy. And like they said, uh, the running backs coach that there's no snap count limitations. He's a 25 plus touch guy. So I think it's realistic to say he's a 75 reception potential guy, and that doesn't even include on the amount of touches you give him on the ground. He does have 4.4 speed, so you got to watch him out there if he tries to go out against a screen. The thing is, I like the 49ers' chances because unlike the Detroit Lions, they do have a sideline to sideline linebacker, which is Fred Warner here in the middle. So I do like that Fred Warner versus DeAndre Swift matchup. I think that's going to be one of the key matchups here in this game. And I didn't even notice that I didn't change the ticker. Come on, guys, you guys gotta let me know. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be one of the key matchups to look to in this game. If you're a 49ers fan, is just watching Fred Warner versus DeAndre Smith. Um, it it'll be a good one for both players in the week 1 matchup. Next person I want to talk about to keep an eye on for the Detroit Lions will be Tyrell Williams. He missed all of 2020. Something you're going to see with Tyrell is that he's not going to be your dink and dunk receiver, or at least that's not what they're going to use him as, because that's something he's never been used as in his career. Based off his most recent season, which was 2019, Tyrell saw 66% of his targets were on routes 10 yards and more. 66% of his targets, 10 yards or more. So Tyrell's going to be the guy to try ahead and stretch the field if you're the Detroit Lions. And that was actually the one pass that Jared Goff threw for above 10 yards was to Tyrell Williams to beat that cover 2 scheme. But looking at it, if I'm the 49ers, they're probably not going to be with Mosley this game, and they're probably going to be with Jason Verrett on Tyrell. I would imagine that's probably going to be the matchup. Um, reason being is they're going to force feed. They're going to try and go ahead and force feed Tyrell because when you look at the rest of this receiving core, it's going to be Cephas, Khalif Raymond. He's played with 4 different teams and hasn't had a season with more than 15 receptions. So, you're gonna go ahead and try to have Jason Verrett be on Tyrell Williams because that's going to be their biggest target on the outside. Obviously, you could probably say that Hawkinson's their number one receiving threat and not Tyrell Williams, but I would throw JV on Tyrell, and then JV is essentially just going to erase any type of potential deep threat that Tyrell Williams would go against you. Because why the hell, Jared Goff knows, why the hell would you test Jason Verrett deep to a receiver that's missed all of last season, to a receiver that's not even a fringe of being a Pro Bowler, to a receiver that you're not even going to say he's going to get over 800 yards in a season? I think he's only done that once in his entire career. And that was with the quarterback like Philip Rivers, who just loves to air it out and do those 50-50 balls. So I throw Jason Brett on Tyrell Williams, and you erase that matchup completely, and you handicap the Lions offense, and they cannot take that deep shot with Tyrell, and everything's going to be intermediate at that point, 10 yards and under. We'll see how many times Jared Goff is throws it over 10 yards, but I'd imagine it's not going to be more than a 20% clip. It's not going to be more than a 20% clip. And then their other receiver, like, who is Khalif Raymond? No disrespect. Congratulations for making it to the NFL, but who are you? He's played with 4 different teams. He's hasn't seen more than 15 receptions. I think if I switch it back here, if I change the personnel again to 11 personnel, he comes in here and they have him projected as a slot, which he might run some in the slot without having that data of him in the NFL putting a season together where he at least had say 30 receptions. It's hard to say where he'll line up, but he is a smaller guy. He's under 5'10". So he'll most likely be in the slot. He may see actually a few targets from Jared Goff, and because Jared Goff could use Khalif Raymond like a Cooper Cup like role. There is one receiver that's missing from here, and partially the reason why they don't have this receiver, Amon Ra St. Brown, because St. Brown is like listed as a third string on the Detroit Lions offense. If you go on like DetroitLions.com, he's listed with the third stringers. I don't know why, because Amon Ra St. Brown should be well held ahead of these guys, probably the number 2 to Tyrell since he is a 4th round pick, rookie out of USC. But St. Brown should be in there. But if it's not St. Brown for whatever reason, Raymond will probably get those targets, probably see about 7 targets from the slot, and because Jared Goff will go ahead and dump it off to him and maybe use him in like a Cooper Cup role. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jimmy Ward on Raymond. And if Jimmy Ward is on Raymond, watch out. Jimmy Ward would shut down anybody, and he kind of got cocky with it this offseason, putting that on like Instagram lives, Instagram stories, whatever it may be. And but no, it's true. Like Khalif Raymond is gonna get nothing if Jimmy Ward is on him in the slot, or if let's go ahead and switch this defense out of base, put him in nickel. K1, like K1 Williams or Khalif Raymond. Who are you taking? I'm taking K1 10 out of 10 over Khalif Raymond. Raymond, congratulations for making it to the NFL, but this is not the matchup for you. But we'll also take a look out for Amon Ra St. Brown. St. Brown can make plays. In the preseason, it was he had a few targets in the preseason, St. Brown, and I think he had like 9 receptions, but he only put together like 50 yards or so. So he's not a deep threat, at least not in this style of offense. He did make big plays at USC. Let's go ahead and move on to TJ Hawkinson. Which TJ Hawkinson will we see? That's my question. Because 51% of TJ Hawkinson's routes were less than 10 yards. So that's going to be where his game's going. It's going to be under 10 yards. And when you have TJ Hawkinson running under 10 yards, who are you taking? TJ Hawkinson or Fred Warner? Fred Warner. Ooh, what happened here? I think I clicked on a betting tool. College power rankings. Um, Even Drake Greenlaw. If I'm expecting Drake Greenlaw to be in coverage for routes that are less than 10 yards, I trust Drake Greenlaw to be in that coverage. I'm not going to think that Drake Greenlaw is going to fail in that coverage if it's under 10 yards. I could understand if you're running some 7 routes, some post corners, some some seam routes, then yeah, I could see, Drake Greenlaw giving up something because he isn't known to be a coverage guy. But if you're running all these routes, ins, outs, slants, everything's going under 10 yards, yeah, I trust Drake Greenlaw to hold his coverage, to hold his zone. And then I guess Jaquaski Tart, he could be a racer back there on a tight end as well. He's so versatile. Jimmy Ward, another racer versus a tight end as someone in the secondary. So that's going to be the question. On those routes under 10 yards, quarterbacks did have a rating when targeting Hawkinson 117. They had a 117 quarterback rating, which is pretty damn elite, if you ask me. So it is something that's where the 49ers defense does have to focus on when covering TJ Hawkinson. And the thing is, I say, which TJ Hawkinson will we see on Sunday? He only had 2 games over 70 yards last season. He had 4 games under 20 yards last season. So so there was a higher chance that TJ Hawkinson will have have over 70 yards. So that's where I'm interested to see which TJ Hawkinson are we going to see. This doesn't bode well as far as an elite matchup for TJ Hawkinson because I do like the 49ers defense here in this matchup. Something the 49ers defense does have to maintain is to not give up first downs on first down plays. Last season, they were 20th in all of NFL in giving up first downs on first down plays. That's below average. That's something they do have to fix because if you're in this game giving up a first down to Deandre Swift, and the run is getting to you, which I don't expect it will be. That's not what I'm saying, but but if it does, then you're going to allow someone like Jared Goff, who has quite an extensive history of using the play action game to his advantage. You don't want to go down that route or even become in that scenario if you're the 49ers defense. D'Amico Ryans is his first game as a defensive coordinator. Well, this is Anthony Lynn's first season with the Detroit Lions as a coordinator. And the biggest thing for Anthony Lynn is when he's calling plays, he's got to call it for a guy that's not even close to Justin Herbert. I saw Justin Herbert at the joint practices in Los Angeles, and the difference between Goff and Herbert, they're not marginal. They're huge. They're huge. So when Anthony Lynn's calling plays, this is going to be his first game without Justin Herbert. He's got to remember he ain't got Justin Herbert under center, and Jared Goff's got to remember he ain't got Sean McVay giving him all the little tips and tricks until that earpiece cuts off before the snap. So that's going to be adjustment for them. Everyone wants to point out that D'Amico Ryans is a first-year defensive coordinator. This is going to be his first game. Well, this is the first game for the marriage of Goff and Anthony Lynn. It's their first game too. And they're coming from elite partners in a Sean McVay and a Justin Herbert, and now they're coming in together. So it's their first game too. Let's not forget that. Since everyone mentions that it's D'Amico Ryan's first game, I think D'Amico will be fine in his first game. This is a perfect matchup for D'Amico Ryan. A familiar game plan that he faced when Jared Goff was in Los Angeles, but as a play caller, as a play designer, it's not going to be as difficult as it was preparing for Sean McVay. Um, Other thing that the 49ers could improve on, and I think we'll see it in this game, is points allowed per game. They were 17th. Once again, 17th. That's below average in the NFL. Uh, while they were really good at fourth in first downs allowed, fourth in passing yards allowed. I said earlier, seventh in rushing yards allowed, and then fifth in total yards allowed. So so they do have the bright spots. And the thing is, when let's go ahead and look at what this defense has got. Let's what they're getting this year that they didn't have last year. They're getting Nick Bosa back. They're getting Jaquaski Tart back. They didn't have that last year. As well as the depth with this 49ers defensive line. They have Arden Key now. They have D Ford that should play. Probably be limited, but they have him. If you get D Ford out there for 10 snaps, that's 10 more than basically any game you had last season. They signed Samson Ebukon. They signed Zach Kerr. You have Kinlaw that was limited in today's practice, so we'll see if he goes. Limited's a good sign, but Emmanuel Mosley's going to. I don't know if he's playing. Today's Thursday. He's another did not participate today in practice. I was going to say in class for whatever reason, but he did not participate in practice today. So as of now, I would expect Deandre Lenore to be out there. The second rookie taken in the 49ers draft class this year is probably going to start over the rookie that was selected first in this draft class this year. Some may shake their head at Ambry Thomas, but hey, just Sewell's having a bad preseason. He looked awful. He allowed he allowed four quarterback pressures in 37 pass blocking snaps. That's awful. Mike McGlinchey allowed 0 in 27 pass blocking snaps to give you a perspective. Mike McGlinchey allowed 0, while Sewell allowed 4 in 37. That's every 10 quarterback passing attempts. Every 10 times that he steps back, Sewell's going to allow a pressure. It's mainly his hand placement has been really bad. And when you already have short arms to begin with, that's a huge disadvantage for Sewell. So I do expect a guy like Armstead to take advantage in this game and take advantage over that arm length over Sewell. And so Sewell's having like I said, he's having a terrible preseason. But guess what? He is the 7th overall pick in this year's draft. Since he is the 7th overall pick, he has to start. Ambry Thomas, just like Sewell, missed last season. It's probably going to take him a little bit of time to adjust to the NFL after missing last season. And so, yeah, Deandre Lenore, instead of looking at it as a negative light towards Ambry Thomas, look at it as a positive light for Deandre Lenore because he has played well and he has earned it. And D Ford said, I just got a message here. D Ford said he'll be on a pitch count. So we'll see what happens with that. I do expect the 49ers defense to dominate this game. I'll be shocked if this defense is giving up more than 13 points per game. I could see a touchdown, 2 field goals. It is what it is. But if they're giving up 2 touchdowns to the Detroit Lions, that's just one of those it got to be week 1 type of things. It must be week 1 because there's no way in hell that this 49ers defense should be giving up 2 touchdowns to the Detroit Lions. I understand most of you guys are probably tuned in to the 49ers press conference. I see Ray Boy here commented. Yeah, mostly everyone's. I had this scheduled time for 3 p.m. 49ers decided to copy me, but go Niners. Ooh, here we are. Here we are. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys tuning in with me today. Sorry about that. My laptop died here last second. Um, we'll end it on Go Niners. Tomorrow I'll be back. I'll make the prediction. Once again, I appreciate you guys. Share this to the family. Share this to any 49er fans. Like, subscribe, and talk to you tomorrow.